My name is Alice Davis. I'm 32 years old, a former Army medic, and last Saturday my own mother destroyed my 7-year-old daughter's birthday party. Not accidentally. Not carelessly. Deliberately. She made 38 phone calls over 4 days. She lied to 19 families. And at 4 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, my daughter Sophie sat alone on our front porch in her party dress, surrounded by 19 colorful gift bags she had wrapped and labeled herself, each name written in her own careful handwriting, and waited. For 90 minutes. Not one child came. By Monday, a neighbor's video of those 90 minutes had 4.7 million views. By Thursday, my mother had 38 missed calls on her phone. This time, they were all from people she had built her reputation with. And she wasn't calling me to apologize. She was calling me in a panic, watching everything she had constructed over 14 years collapse in real time. This is the story of what happened. All of it. The lies, the documentation, the fallout, and, eventually, the healing. If you're watching this, stay with me. Because this story doesn't end on that porch. To understand what my mother did, you have to understand who Barbara Jean Davis is. Or rather, who she has been for the past 14 years. My brother Michael died in Afghanistan in August 2012. He was 22 years old, a sergeant, leading a patrol outside Kandahar when his convoy hit an IED. I was 18 when we buried him. And my mother, Barbara, spent every single year after that building her entire public identity on his sacrifice. I don't say that callously. Grief is real. Loss is real. Michael was her son, and losing him broke something in her that never fully healed. But there is a difference between carrying grief and weaponizing it. And Barbara learned to do both at the same time. There's a folded flag in a triangle case on her mantel. Michael's dress uniform photograph in every room of her house. Certificates from the Veterans Family Support Network, where she volunteers. Awards from the VFW, where she speaks at events. For 14 years, Barbara Jean Davis has been what people in Colorado Springs call a pillar of the military community. And she used that status, that untouchable, gold star credibility, to control our family in ways that nobody ever questioned. Because who questions a grieving mother? Who pushes back on a woman who lost her son in service to this country? I joined the Army in January 2013, 5 months after Michael's funeral. I wanted to honor him. I became a medic. 6 years, 2 deployments to Iraq, honorable discharge in 2019. I came home to raise my daughter Sophie, who was born that February. But my mother never once acknowledged my service as equal to Michael's. When I talked about my deployments, she changed the subject. When someone thanked me for my service at a family gathering, she found a way to redirect the conversation back to Michael. At my discharge ceremony, she didn't show up. She had a veterans family support meeting that couldn't be missed. In Barbara's world, there is only one kind of service that matters. Michael's kind. The kind that ends with a flag and a gold star. I spent my entire adult life living in that shadow. And I let her get away with it because she was my mother. She had lost a son. How do you tell someone drowning in grief that they are drowning you too? Sophie's 7th birthday was February 28th. I'd planned her party for the following Saturday, March 1st, to make it easier for families to attend. 19 kids invited. 19 gift bags I had bought and let Sophie decorate herself. She'd written each name in purple marker with the careful precision only a 7-year-old possesses. Barbara had sent red, white, and blue wrapping paper as her contribution. At the time, I thought it was thoughtful. I would come to think about that wrapping paper differently later. The Thursday before the party, Barbara showed up at my house unannounced. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. Sophie and I were at the kitchen table finishing the last of the gift bags. When I opened the door, my mother stood there wearing the expression she always wears when she has decided I have done something wrong. "We need to talk," she said. Not in front of her. Sophie went very still. She didn't look up from the gift bag in her hands, the one with Olivia's name on it. Olivia was her best friend. Sophie had spent 20 minutes making sure every letter was perfect. I stepped onto the porch and closed the door. "I've been hearing things," Barbara said. "About Saturday's party. About who you might be bringing." "It's a 7-year-old's birthday party, Mom. I invited her classmates. I mean adults, Alice." "A +1. There is no +1. It's me and Sophie." She looked at me the way she always does when she's decided I'm lying. "Trevor mentioned you've been seeing someone." "My ex-husband." "Of course. We'd finalized our divorce in November after 8 months of court proceedings. I have sole custody of Sophie. Trevor has supervised visitation only, after an incident where he put his fist through a wall 6 inches from our daughter's head. The court sealed those records, but Barbara knows. She just doesn't care, because Trevor is a veteran. Iraq, 2010. And in Barbara's world, you stand by veterans no matter what. You don't leave them. You certainly don't take their daughter away." "Trevor is lying," I said. "I'm not seeing anyone. I've been focused on Sophie and my job." "That's it." Barbara pressed her lips together. "Well, I'll handle this for Sophie's sake." She left without saying goodbye to her granddaughter. I should have understood then what was coming. But I was so accustomed to Barbara's need to control the narrative that I didn't see the full shape of it. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that the moment she got in her car, she started making calls. Her phone records, which I obtained later, tell the story with brutal clarity. Thursday night between 7:15 and 10:30 p.m., 11 outgoing calls. Friday, from 9 a.m. to nearly 9 p.m., 16 more. Saturday morning before 11:30 a.m., 9 final calls. 38 calls total. Each one carefully crafted. Each one a lie. Each one tailored to the specific fears of the person she was calling. To the veteran families, she emphasized betrayal of military values. I was bringing a Marine officer, flaunting a new relationship, disrespecting the community. To the church families, she focused on moral confusion for children, adult situations they shouldn't be exposed to, my so-called lifestyle. To Trevor's relatives, his sister Amanda, his cousins, she said I was using Sophie's birthday to parade this man in front of Trevor's family out of spite. That I was trying to replace their family member in Sophie's life. 6 different versions. One purpose. Maximum isolation. There was no Marine officer. There was no boyfriend. There was no new relationship. But 38 phone calls later, 19 families believed there was. And not one of them called me to verify, because Barbara Jean Davis, Gold Star mother, pillar of the community, doesn't lie about things like this. Except she did. Saturday morning, the cancellation started at 10 a.m. A text from one parent, vague, apologetic, identical in tone to the 12 that followed it by 11 o'clock. I stood in my kitchen watching them roll in like a slow wave, each one landing with the same quiet devastation. Sophie was in the living room arranging the gift bags in alphabetical order. She had been up since 7 o'clock, too excited to sleep. I tried calling Jennifer, my cousin. Voicemail. I tried David. Voicemail. I tried Amanda, Trevor's sister, who had promised her boys would come. 4 rings. No answer. That's when I understood. Someone had reached all of them. Someone with that kind of reach, that kind of influence, that kind of weaponized credibility. And I knew exactly who. I could have cancelled the party. I should have. But Sophie was already in her light blue dress with the white ribbons. She had picked it out 3 weeks earlier, and I could not bring myself to tell her the truth. So I told myself maybe a few kids would still show. Maybe some parents hadn't checked their phones. At 4 o'clock, the party start time, the doorbell didn't ring. At 4:15, Sophie asked if she could wait on the front porch. Maybe they're just running late, Mommy. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. She carried the 19 gift bags outside one by one, setting them along the porch railing. the red, white, and blue wrapping paper caught the March wind. It was 52 degrees. Sophie was wearing her coat over her party dress. I watched from the window. 4:30 came and went. 4:45, at 5 o'clock, Sophie stood up and rearranged the gift bags. She wanted them to be in perfect order for when her friends arrived. She checked each name carefully, making sure they were right. I stepped outside. "Sophie, honey, why don't we go inside and have some cake?" "Just us?" "But we have to wait for my friends, Mommy. They'll be sad if they miss the cake." "Sweetie, please. Just a little longer." What do you say to that? How do you explain to a 7-year-old that the people she trusts most in the world have been systematically lied to? That her own grandmother orchestrated this? So I let her wait. At 5:15, a car slowed in front of the house. Sophie jumped to her feet, waving. The car drove past. She sat back down. That is the moment I will never forget. Watching my daughter's shoulders fall. Watching hope drain out of her like water from a broken cup. At 5:30, I finally brought her inside. "Mommy," she said, her voice so small it barely qualified as sound. "Did I do something wrong? Is that why nobody came?" I knelt in front of her. "No, baby. You didn't do anything wrong." "Then why didn't anybody come? Did they not want to be my friend anymore?" I had no answer a 7-year-old could understand. So I just held her while she cried into my shoulder, still in her party dress, still clutching the gift bag with Olivia's name on it. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes," I finally said. "Big ones." What I didn't tell her was that some mistakes aren't mistakes at all. They're choices. Calculated, deliberate, and cruel. And the person who made this choice was about to learn something she had forgotten about me. 6 years as an army medic teaches you one thing above everything else: document everything. Every symptom, every timeline, every detail. You write it down because accuracy saves lives. I had been documenting Barbara's behavior for months, every controlling phone call, every guilt trip about the divorce, every time she told Sophie that Grandma's house is where we follow God's rules about marriage. Text messages. Emails. Voicemails. And now I had 38 phone calls worth of lies to add to the file. Across the street, my neighbor Captain Jim Holloway had been watching from his kitchen window all afternoon. Jim is 55, retired Army. He was Michael's platoon leader in Afghanistan. He had seen Sophie carry those gift bags outside one by one. He had seen her sit down and wait. He had seen her wait alone for over an hour. At some point, Jim picked up his phone and pressed record. 6 minutes and 14 seconds of footage. Sophie rearranging gift bags. Sophie checking the street. Sophie wiping her eyes at the 52-minute mark. Sophie checking the street again. Jim knew Barbara. He knew how she operated. He had watched her use Michael's death as currency for 14 years. And he knew, with certainty, that Michael would have been ashamed of what she had done. Sunday afternoon at 4:32 p.m., Jim posted the video to Facebook. His caption was simple: "This is what happened yesterday at a 7-year-old's birthday party in our neighborhood. This child waited 90 minutes. Nobody came. Her grandmother made sure of it. We can do better than this." He closed his laptop and went to make dinner. He didn't expect it to go anywhere. He just wanted the local community to see. By 8 p.m. Sunday, the video had 12,000 views. By midnight, 340,000. Monday morning at 11 a.m., 2.1 million. Monday afternoon, 4.7 million. The algorithm had found it. The internet was watching. And Barbara Jean Davis's carefully constructed reputation was beginning to collapse in real time. I didn't know about the video until Sunday evening. A text from an old army buddy I hadn't spoken to in 2 years. "Alice, is this your daughter? WTF happened?" A link. I clicked it. There was my daughter on a stranger's screen. The timestamp in the corner showed 4:47 p.m., the exact moment she had picked up a fallen gift bag and straightened it with such heartbreaking care, such unshakable faith that her friends were still coming. The comments were already in the thousands. Who does this to a child? Find out who's responsible. This is abuse. Someone had identified our neighborhood. Someone else had identified me. The details were spreading. And then I saw a comment from my cousin Jennifer. I can't believe I fell for it. I'm so sorry, Alice. They were starting to understand. Monday morning I woke to 53 notifications. The video had been shared by military spouse advocacy pages, Gold Star family support groups, parenting forums. By Monday noon, someone had identified Barbara by name. It was the grandmother. She told families the mom had a boyfriend. The boyfriend didn't exist. The internet, when it finds a clear moral villain, someone who hurt a child for no reason other than spite, moves with terrible efficiency. At 1 p.m. Monday, I received a call from the executive director of the Veterans Family Support Network. Alice, we need to talk about your mother's involvement with our organization. At 2 p.m., another call. A woman, calm and professional. Ms. Davis, my name is Maria Chen. I'm an attorney with Rocky Mountain Veterans Legal Aid. I saw the video. I'd like to help you, pro bono. Can we meet tomorrow? I said yes to both. Then I sat down at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and started pulling every receipt I had. Text messages. Emails. Screenshots of Barbara's Facebook posts about family values and supporting veterans through thick and thin. I organized them by date, by theme, by pattern. This wasn't rage. This was documentation. This was 6 years of medic instinct, systematic, precise, clear chain of causation. The video had lit the fuse. I was going to make sure the explosion had direction. Monday at 2 p.m., Barbara posted a public statement. She called it a private family matter being distorted online. She invoked Michael. She called herself a concerned grandmother acting out of love. She added an American flag emoji and a heart. 890 comments, almost all negative, before she deleted it 30 minutes later. But screenshots had already spread everywhere. Deleting it made everything worse. At 3:15 p.m., Barbara texted me, "This video is destroying my reputation. You need to make that man take it down. This is slander and I will pursue legal action." I read it twice. Then I blocked her number. Tuesday morning I met Maria Chen and her colleague David Turner, a family law specialist and Air Force veteran. Maria was 29, sharp, and direct. "We're not going for revenge," she said. "We're building a protection system." 3 goals. 1. Legal boundary between Barbara and Sophie until Barbara gets help. 2. Documentation that protects your custody if Trevor tries to weaponize this situation. 3. A clear message that manipulation has consequences. Over the next 2 days, we built the case. Barbara's phone records told the story with mathematical precision. 11 calls Thursday night. 16 Friday. 9 Saturday morning. 38 calls total, over 4 days, before a 7-year-old's birthday party. "This is premeditation," David said. "She had a plan and executed it over 4 days." In custody cases, this type of interference, parental alienation, even from a grandparent, is taken very seriously. The witnesses came forward on their own. Jennifer met me at a coffee shop Tuesday at noon. She could barely look at me. Barbara had called her Thursday night and told her I was bringing a Marine officer, my new boyfriend, to Sophie's party. That I'd met him at a veteran event. She had details. It sounded real. I pulled out my phone and showed Jennifer my calendar. Work. Sophie's school. Pharmacy shifts. Groceries. Nothing else. There's no boyfriend, Jennifer. There never was. She started crying. I should have called you to verify. Barbara's always been so authoritative. She paused. There's more. She said she called your aunt too. Different story, that you were bringing someone from work who was inappropriate around children. Different lie. Same goal. Barbara hadn't just lied, she had weaponized psychology, tailoring each story to trigger each person's specific fear. To veteran families, betrayal of military values. To church families, moral corruption of children. To Trevor's relatives, vindictiveness and spite. 6 different lies, one purpose, maximum isolation. By Wednesday afternoon, Maria had sworn statements from 12 witnesses. Each described a different version of Barbara's story. Each expressed regret. Each was willing to testify. Then Amanda, Trevor's sister, called me Tuesday. We hadn't spoken since the divorce. I need to apologize, she said. Barbara had told her I was trying to hurt Trevor by flaunting my new relationship in front of his family. That I was using Sophie's birthday as a weapon. There is no boyfriend, Amanda. I haven't dated anyone. I've been focused entirely on Sophie. She was crying. Then she said something that shifted my understanding of everything. Alice, I think Barbara got the idea from Trevor. He called her a few days before the party. Was venting about you probably starting to date soon. He was being bitter. But I think Barbara took that and ran with it. Trevor. My ex-husband, the man with supervised visitation only, who wanted full custody, had fed Barbara the ammunition. She had built the weapon. Tuesday evening, VFW Post 3917 held an emergency meeting. 63 members attended, twice the usual number. Commander Daniel Peterson, 58, called the session. Barbara Jean Davis has represented this post at community events for 8 years. She's a Gold Star mother and we've honored that. But if the allegations about her granddaughter's birthday party are true, we have a serious problem. Military values include integrity and protecting the vulnerable. A 7-year-old child qualifies as vulnerable. Jim Holloway stood up. I posted that video. I served with Barbara's son Michael. He was one of the best men I knew. He died protecting children in Afghanistan. What Barbara did to his niece would disgust him. I'm not sorry I exposed it. The vote, 58 in favor of issuing a formal statement. 3 against. 2 abstentions. The VFW statement was posted Wednesday morning, carefully worded, professional, but the message was unmistakable. Barbara was on her own. Wednesday afternoon, 12 Gold Star mothers from across Colorado signed a joint letter posted to the Gold Star Mothers Organization website. Women who had each lost a child in military service. They wrote, Gold Star status does not excuse cruelty, manipulation, or harm to children, especially not to our own grandchildren. Our loss does not grant us immunity from accountability. Barbara's own peer group had publicly rejected her behavior. That was seismic. That same day, the Veterans Family Support Network sent Barbara a formal letter placing her on immediate administrative leave. By 6 p.m., her email was disabled. By 8 p.m., her name was removed from the website. 14 years of reputation, gone in 72 hours. Thursday morning, Pastor Michael Wright at Grace Community Church asked Barbara to step back from Sunday school teaching pending clarification of the situation. She had taught there for 12 years. She sat in the church parking lot for 20 minutes after she left his office. Then she started calling me. Thursday, March 5th, the day Barbara made 38 calls. Not to other people this time. To me. I was working my pharmacy shift when the first call came in at 11:47 a.m. By noon, 4 missed calls. By 2 p.m., 12. By 6 p.m., 28. She left 14 voicemails. I listened to all 14 Friday morning, in sequence, with cold coffee and a quiet house while Sophie slept. The arc of those voicemails told the story of a person watching the consequences of their own choices arrive in real time. The first ones were defensive, I was protecting the children, this is absurd, call me immediately. Then angry, after everything I've done for you, after losing Michael, this is how you repay me. Then gaslighting, you're overreacting, a few families couldn't make it, this happens, your brother would be so disappointed. Then bargaining, maybe I made some calls, maybe I said some things, but I never meant for Sophie to be hurt. Then desperation, the VFW suspended me, the church asked me to step back, people I've known for 20 years won't return my calls, you have to help me fix this. And then the last one. Voicemail 14. 11:42 p.m. She was crying at first. Then her voice, small and broken, I don't know what to do. Everything's falling apart. I miss Michael so much, Alice. Every day I miss him. And I know I've been hard on you. But I just wanted our family to be strong, the way it was when he was here. I know I hurt Sophie. I know. I just don't know how to fix it. A long pause. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. She hung up. I sat in silence for 5 minutes after the final message ended. Then I picked up my phone and typed the most important text message I have ever written. Mom. I listened to your voicemails. I heard you say you're sorry. But you didn't apologize to the person you hurt most. Sophie is 7 years old. She sat on that porch for 90 minutes thinking her friends didn't like her. She asked me if she did something wrong. That is what your protection did. I will not expose her to this cycle again. When you are ready to take full responsibility, not maybe I made some calls, not I didn't mean for this to happen, but real accountability, and when you've gotten professional help for why you thought this was acceptable, we can talk about supervised contact. Until then, all communication goes through my attorney. If you contact me or Sophie directly, the restraining order will be filed immediately. This isn't about punishing you. This is about protecting my daughter from being used as a pawn in whatever you're working through about Michael, about me, about your identity. Sophie deserves better. Get help, Mom. When you do, I'll be here. But Sophie comes first. Always. The message showed as read at 6:02 a.m. For the first time in 48 hours, my phone was silent. A few days later, Jim Holloway sent me a text. Some of us from the VFW were talking. We want to throw Sophie a real birthday party. A do-over. This Saturday. We'll handle everything. You just tell us what she likes. Mike would want it. I stared at it for a long time. Are you sure? I typed back. She's Michael's niece. That makes her family. We take care of family. Simple math. Saturday, March 14th, 2 p.m. The backyard was transformed. Tables, decorations, balloons, a chocolate cake with 7 candles. 23 children already there when I brought Sophie outside, the original 19 families plus 4 new ones whose parents had seen the video and wanted to do something. Sophie stopped in the doorway. Mommy, are all these people for me? Yes, baby. All for you. Her face moved through disbelief, then wonder, then pure, unguarded joy. The kids rushed toward her, chanting happy birthday. Sophie's best friend Olivia reached her first and hugged her hard. I'm sorry I missed your first party. My mom explained what happened. It wasn't fair. For the next 3 hours, Sophie ran and played and laughed with 23 children who had chosen to show up. Every 10 minutes she came running back to me. They came, Mommy. They really came. At 3:30, we brought out the cake. Everyone gathered. Everyone sang. Sophie closed her eyes, made a wish, and blew out all 7 candles in one breath. Cheers erupted across the backyard. Later I asked what she had wished for. I can't tell you or it won't come true, she said. But it kind of already did. I wished that people would come to my party. And they did. That evening, after the last guests left, Sophie sat on the front porch steps, the same spot where she had waited alone 2 weeks before. But now she was surrounded by opened gifts and birthday cards and a paper plate with leftover cake. Did you have fun, baby? The best day ever, Mommy. She thought about it. Maybe even better than the first party would have been. Why? Because I know these people really wanted to be here. Nobody made them come. They chose to. The wisdom of a 7-year-old. I looked at the backyard behind us. Red, white, and blue streamers still hanging, catching the last of the sunset light. The same colors Barbara had sent as wrapping paper to dress up her lie. The same colors Jim had hung to heal what she had broken. Not symbols of manipulation anymore. Just colors. Red for courage. White for truth. Blue for loyalty. The way they were always supposed to be. It has been several weeks now. Barbara is in counseling through the VA grief program. Her suspension from the Veterans Family Support Network remains in effect. The VFW has not rescinded its statement. The church is working with her privately before any reinstatement. Real consequences. The kind that don't disappear with an apology. But she is also, slowly, facing herself. According to her counselor, who reached out with Barbara's permission, she is beginning to untangle 14 years of grief and control and weaponized identity. It is slow. It is hard. It is necessary. One night, after Sophie fell asleep still wearing her birthday hat, I sat at my kitchen table and thought about all of it. The 38 calls Barbara made to destroy the party. The 38 calls she made to me in desperation when everything collapsed. The mathematical symmetry of it. The universe has its own kind of precision. I thought about Jim Holloway, who picked up his phone and recorded because he understood what service actually means. About Maria Chen, who offered help because that is what communities do when they function the way they're supposed to. About 12 Gold Star mothers who said, "We have lost children too, and that does not excuse this." About 23 kids who showed up to celebrate a little girl they barely knew, because their parents decided that protecting children matters more than protecting reputations. Sophie asked me recently if her grandmother would ever say sorry. I told her honestly, maybe, if she did the real work, not just the words. If she does, Sophie said, will we see her again? Maybe. Very slowly. But only if you wanted to. She nodded. I miss her sometimes. But I also remember sitting on the porch alone and feeling really small. I know, baby. The second party made me feel big again. I held her for a long time after that. Because she was right. That is exactly what happened. And that is what I want her to carry forward, not the empty porch, not the waiting, not the grief, but the backyard full of people who chose her. Sophie knows now that love is not control. Love is not guilt and gold stars and weaponized sacrifice. Love is showing up. Love is choosing someone not because you have to, but because you want to. My mother spent 14 years building walls with my brother's flag. She used his memory as armor and his sacrifice as leverage. She thought that was strength. But real strength is a 7-year-old girl sleeping in her party hat, knowing she is loved and chosen and protected. Real strength is setting a boundary and holding it even when the person on the other side is your own mother. Real strength is 38 missed calls that you don't answer, because some silences are the loudest thing you will ever say. My brother died protecting children far from home. I am here, protecting one child, in our home in Colorado Springs. Different wars. The same obligation. And that is a legacy worth keeping,